Hi, everybody. It's Josh Pruitt, Realtor with Pure Gold Realty. I'm here today to share with you 4 tips on how to prep your home for sale. So let's get right to it. All right, guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm really excited to share with you these tips on how to prep your home for sale. I know we're getting towards into the holiday season where everybody starts making plans on what they're going to do in 2022. And a lot of you might be deciding to make a move, and you're going to want to start getting ready to sell your home if that's what you're deciding to do. So let's get right to the list. Number one, I would consider maybe one of the first things to do is to get a pre-inspection. So, reach out to me and I can give you a couple recommendations on inspectors, but get an inspector inside the house to take a look at everything that's going on, so that you kind of have maybe a roadmap or a game plan on what to take care of between now and when you list the property. In my opinion, doing this one thing can save a seller thousands of dollars in the repair negotiations. By having this info up front, you can research what it would cost to make any repairs that might be needed. And if you decide to get some of these repairs done, you can use them as selling points. Likewise, if you decide not to get some of these repairs made, at least you will arm yourself with information for that repair negotiation and maybe just know and have a good understanding of what it would cost to fix some of these things so that you're not blindsided by an inspection 50, 60 pages long. Knowing what to expect is going to save you stress and money. The second thing on my list might be one of the most important, and that is to clean, clean, clean. I cannot overstate this enough. I really can't. The more you clean, the better. I think you should be obsessive with it, and you really can't stop. It's one of those things that you're going to have to do every single day until you move, basically. If you have carpets, I would consider getting them cleaned twice. Once early on, as you're, kind of prepping the house, getting it ready, doing all the other things I'm asking you to do, and then once just before you go on the market. If you have tile floors, I would certainly consider getting the grout cleaned and maybe sealed at the same time. Those are two really high impact things that you can do right away. But again, be obsessive with the cleaning. Please don't stop cleaning. Clean all those things that you have been ignoring for the last couple years in between the oven and the cabinets. Get that clean, in and around the fridge, around washing machines and dryers, all those tough to reach spots. Make sure those are clean too. The tracks on windows and doors, certainly all the touch spots. Get all of those nice and clean, because it really does make a difference. Every little bit really does help. Consider getting your windows cleaned inside and out just before we list. A lot of folks will take off the screens to allow more light into the house. There's a saying that light equals money, and I certainly believe that to be true. Third on my list is to spruce up your curb appeal. The front of the house is the first impression that the buyers are going to get. So please make it a good one. Trimming trees, trimming shrubs and grass are great places to start. Consider repainting the house. This might be a cost that you don't want to incur, but maybe even do just the trim. Certainly, I'll see a lot of trim boards on houses that where the edges are, the paint has come off, and then when the paint comes off, the water soaks into the wood and it starts to rot the wood. An inspector is going to see that and ding it every single time. So if you can paint over that, maybe if there is a rotten piece of wood or a nasty piece of wood, replace that and repaint the trim. So every little bit counts, certainly, for that. If your garage door is in disrepair, either replace it or repaint it or try to fix it. Sometimes there's windows in the garage door that are just really gross. Make sure those are cleaned, if not repaired. Power washing the driveway and sidewalks is a good idea. It brightens things up and it just kind of freshens the look up a bit. And it's not so, dark and gross and grimy. Again, it brings more light. It reflects more light off the property, and light equals money. So, but then, consider planting some flowers or some fresh bushes or something like that. A nice layer of fresh mulch and some newly planted flowers, it really goes a long way, especially if you're doing everything on the list. That first impression of your listing is going to be a good one with the buyers. So the last thing on my list is to declutter and depersonalize the home. Remember that less is more inside, and light equals money. So that includes large objects in the house. Get rid of it so more light can shine through the property. Anything that's large that you don't really need or use on a regular basis, put that in the garage. Start packing things up and staging them in the garage. Buyers are okay with having, the garage in a little bit of a disarray, and then there's, it's stacked to the ceiling with a bunch of stuff. Buyers are okay with that. Just make sure that you leave room and access to any mechanical equipment that you have in the garage, such as a water heater or an air handler or something in there. So allow access for the inspector to inspect those items. Otherwise, have at it in the garage. So when decluttering, I usually suggest starting in storage spaces like closets and cabinets. The rule of thumb in a closet is to get rid of everything on the top shelves and get rid of everything on the floor. So once you do that, then start thinning out the amount of clothes that you have in the closets. Start thinning out the amount of shoes and then personal belongings. And before long, it's going to look really good. And so when somebody walks in, it's going to be nice, straight, and clean and clear. And that's what we're going for, unless you're moving out entirely, of course. Within the cabinets, that's any storage space you want to go to kind of first. So again, clear those out. If you've got dishes or you have belongings that you don't need on a regular basis, throw those in a box. Get those in a box, because the point is we're getting ready to move, and so we need to kind of portray that, hey, we're ready to go. We want you to give us the offer. We're going to accept the offer. We're going to sell you the house because we have plans. We need to move on. We're going to move on. And so that's kind of the idea, but also it shows that you run a tight ship, that you have pride in ownership at the house. And so when you have a very clean, clear, merchandised, for lack of a better term, home, they come in and they're like, wow, I really want this to be where I live. I wish I were a little bit more like these people. They're so clean and everything looks so good. Well, that's not always the case, right? We're putting our best foot forward, and then that's really the idea. Nothing drives me, well, I can't say nothing, but it drives me a little bit crazy going into a listing and you open up a cabinet and things are falling out. Clearly, these folks aren't ready to leave. And then you just kind of foresee other issues. It's, my brain is wired to anticipate problems, and so when I see that, I wonder how much they do take care of the house. How on top of things are they? When we get that inspection, I'm going to be thinking, wow, what did the inspector miss? Because clearly they don't care about what their place looks like when companies coming over, and company with checkbooks that want to buy your house if it's the right property. So some of it's psychological, but really, taking your time, thinning things out, it's going to be worth it in the long run. Next, start considering removing as many personal items or any sort of valuables as possible. That includes medication, that includes family portraits, religious items. If you have any valuables, I always use the example of a sand dollar that you got, or maybe that you found at a beach vacation with your family's first vacation to the beach together, right? So the sand dollar is worth nothing. Like, you can buy them for $1, but to you, that sand dollar, it's valuable. So put those away, hide those, make sure mistakes don't happen to things like that. So get rid of those. Likewise, if you have taxidermy, I have my own personal beliefs on that, but a lot of people have very strong beliefs on taxidermy. And so if they see an image of that online, they're not even going to come look at your house. And so, maybe You don't care what they think, that's fine, but you still want them to buy your house. You still want them to come and pay you for your house. So get rid of the taxidermy, please. Get rid of it. It's not good for the home sale. Well, that's it. That's the list. Get a pre-inspection, clean, 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 spruce up the curb appeal, and declutter and depersonalize. That's a great place to start. Of course, there's plenty more to consider when selling your home. I certainly think you should reach out to professionals such as myself because I do this quite often and I know all the ins and outs. One thing that I do that might be a little bit differently than a lot of other agents do is I always bring in an interior designer. I think it's important to have the interior designer's professional experience and consultation to help us put the best foot forward. Sometimes we use furniture that's already in the house, your furniture, and sometimes we pull all new furniture in. And there's a varying degree between there. So sometimes we'll pull in just a few things of furniture, sometimes, none at all. So I want to get that professional's expert advice so that we make sure we have the best listing on the market. Remember, every little bit helps. You've probably heard stories about, Austin listings getting 30 offers and $100,000 over ask, but that's not always the case. Most listings are typical and normal. So we have to do everything that we can to stand out from the crowd. We want the buyers to have a sense of missing out, a fear of missing out, or FOMO. We want them to see this house online and say, we've got to go look at that right now because I know everybody else that's looking in this area, in this price range, is thinking the same thing I am. And it's holy crap. I need to buy this house because it's priced well and it's presented well and better than the competition. Not just well, it's better than the competition. So I got to get in there. I got to get my agent in there and I've got to put an offer in that's going to make that seller excited to sell their home to me. So if you are considering selling your house in the next 18 months, give me a call. I'd love to discuss your options and formulate a game plan specific for you. Starting the process early can greatly reduce the amount of stress and anxiety you may have when preparing your home for sale. There's a lot involved and I get it. I'm with you 100% of the way. So I always suggest start early and then it's going to be smooth sailing. We're going to have a great time working together. It's going to be fun. It's going to be enjoyable, I promise. So I look forward to that phone call. Thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. We'll talk to you soon. Thanks so much. Bye.